Welcome to the Geniuses of Copywriting podcast, a peek into the minds and strategies of the world's greatest copywriters, marketers, and persuasion experts. And now, here's your host, Brian Casangina.
Hey listeners, welcome back to the Geniuses of Copywriting podcast. It's a great privilege to welcome a good friend of mine, Chris Laub. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Chris.
Yes, you got it. Thanks, man.
Cheers, mate. I mean, I always get the same thing with my last name, Casangina, so I probably got a lot worse than you, but I wanted to make sure I say your name right because I've grown to know you a bit as a copywriter and as a person. We finally met up in person at TNC the other week, which is cool. But yeah, I wanted to have you on the show because it's really fascinating some of the stuff you're doing. I know that you've been around for a while doing copy, and you certainly got the copy chops because you got me to pay $5,000 for a course with you. So and that's been well worth it, and so I know you know your stuff. But for those of out there listening to this podcast who don't know who Chris Laub is, tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, cool. So I'll do a 60-second version of my story. I was doing B2B sales for a very successful marketing agency in LA. Super cliche, but I had started to travel after my girlfriend and I broke up, was going to Bali and Colombia and just traveling overseas by myself. My dad's friend sent me a copy of the 4-Hour Workweek. I read it, was like, yeah, I'm going to be the next Tim Ferriss. So I saved up a bunch of money, paid off my debts, quit my job, and have been working for myself online ever since. That was at the end of 2010. So about to have, in the next 2 years or so, going to have my 10-year quit my job anniversary, which is been even more sentimental for me than my birthday. So yeah, I went down the internet marketing rabbit hole, was experimenting with SEO, affiliate marketing, AdSense websites, trying to do a PPC agency, and stumbled upon copywriting, was using my skills for the other businesses that I was trying to get off the ground, and ended up just kind of failure after failure, and finally got a little kind of micro reputation management agency off the ground doing lead generation via direct mail. And that was the first time I really had success with any of the marketing that I was trying to do, businesses that I was trying to market, and continued to grow that via direct mail. Had to shut it down because of fulfillment issues, but realized that, hey, I've actually been able to generate results via the written word. So I continue using my skills, ended up starting to write for clients in 2015. And unlike most copywriters, I really never got that excited about doing client work. I don't know if it was because, I don't know if you remember from John Carlton's Kick-Ass Copywriting Secrets of a Marketing Rebel training. In that training, he talked about how the copywriters who make the most money are the ones that write for their own projects and their own products and whatnot.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And that really stuck with me. So I've paid the bills and I've worked with some big name clients as a freelancer. Haven't really done any freelance projects in about 2 years now. I've just always trended towards using my copywriting skills for my own businesses and my own products. So yeah, still doing that today. Don't really take on any freelance clients anymore, but almost everything I do is copywriting dependent or focused these days.
Yeah, it's really interesting how you mentioned direct mail before. That's how you were marketing your agency. So that's really fascinating because everyone's so in love with the online stuff, but the reality is that direct mail is, I think that it's so unusual. It's got to work for that reason. So tell us a bit more about what you're doing there.
So it's been a couple of years since I've done it, but direct mail is always something that's fascinated me, especially as I've gotten more involved in Facebook ad funnels and whatnot. I personally have never done direct mail on a mass scale. What I was doing was pretty small scale, just 50, 100 mailers going out at once, targeted, customized, kind of typical Dan Kennedy, bulk email, super customized to the prospect. And it got really good. It got good enough. I was getting I didn't even know what I was doing. And my very first campaign was getting about a 7% response rate I thought that was great at the time. Came to find out that there were people getting 20 and 30%. But yeah, when you look at Facebook ad costs these days relative to from the time someone opts in, or you're talking about 2% conversion rate on a sales page or whatever, you can be spending $10 just to get an email opt-in, and anywhere from $50 maybe to get a conversion on a low-end product to, in the high ticket space, which is mainly where I operate these days, $150, $250, $400 just to get a call booked on your calendar. So when you look at the cost of doing direct mail, a couple dollars all the way up to say $10 to do something like a lumpy mail FedEx, and you look at the response rates on that, it's just a slam dunk. It just makes a lot more sense. And everybody has drifted towards online marketing so hard that if you think about, you receive a FedEx from someone, that's going to get your attention. There's a 100% guarantee that the recipient is going to open that, they're going to read it. So
yeah, are you on Justin Goff's email list?
I am. I don't really read his news. I don't read any marketers' newsletters at all. I have them all set to go up to a random file. But I saw what he did with his live event in that lumpy mail package.
Yeah,
and I thought it was brilliant.
Thailand. So he actually sent them overseas and everything.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the most potential, viral internet marketing campaigns of all of 2018. I mean, that was just brilliant what he did there.
Yeah, I was dying to do an unboxing video, but I guess probably doesn't. I didn't do it because he probably doesn't want his direct mail package, spewed out all over Facebook for everyone to copy. But it's an amazing package, great copy, and awesome grabbers inside. So yeah, and he filled up that seminar. He sold out all the seats for $25,000 a pop. So it definitely worked.
Yeah. Do you want to just kind of give the 30-second overview of what that package was all about for your listeners who, don't really know what we're talking about here?
Yeah, because Justin Goff is a copywriter who has come to some prominence in the last couple of years. And I've been on his email list for a while, and basically you have to apply to be on his email list. He doesn't really market to newbies and such. So that's a context.
Which is,
yeah.
Just to interrupt, but which is brilliant positioning in and of itself.
Yeah. So that's the context of where this is coming in. Because if you send out, you spend this kind of money on a direct mail package, you've got to be, careful of who you're going to send it to, because one of the biggest things in the package itself was actually a $100 note, which was clipped to the sales letter, and that was your grabber. It's a standard Gary Halbert. Might have noticed I've attached a $100 note to this this sales letter, and so forth. So that creates, not only grabs attention, but it creates reciprocity. So you've got $100 in the mail, and so you feel obligated to at least read through the stuff and consider, because there's a good sales letter and it was well put together. It came in a FedEx style box, not an actual one, but about that size and shape. So he would have got 100% open rate, and would have got a very high consumption rate with that money, because that's a real $100 note as well. So it's a very, very well put together package, and he filled up a big seminar. So at $25,000 a ticket. So that's the kind of effect you can have with this kind of a direct mail package.
Yeah, that was, everybody I told about it was like, oh my God, can I see it? Yeah. Can I see the letter? I live in Brazil, but all my mail goes to my parents' house in the US, just because it takes forever for mail to get here.
Yeah.
And my dad sent me an email after he got it. He's like, you got, some guy sent you $100, looks like some kind of scammer or some shit like that. And
it's real.
I was able to make a funny little Facebook post off of that. But that was just brilliant right there.
Yeah. So direct mail works, and it's something that copywriters should do. I mean, I used to sell years ago, back in the day, probably before you even started online, I sold an info product on how to make money on eBay, because I was my early days, I did really well on eBay, and I sold a course on that, and I sold it purely offline. I took out ads in newspapers and magazines, generated leads. They called a toll-free recorded message, left their deets, and I sent out the sales orders. And that free report that I was sending out on the first contact was converting about 10%, and I had a few other letters. The price point was like $500 or $600 too. So I lived off that for a while, but we forget about doing direct mail. I'm glad to see that you're someone who appreciates it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I'm actually preparing to do another kind of a sniper targeted campaign, probably about 100 contacts, doing something like a FedEx type lumpy mailer in June, next time I go back to the US. So as you and I continue talking, I'll let you know how it goes. And if it turns into, generate some interesting results, maybe I can come back and kind of share how I did it and how it all went down.
Yeah. Well, back to the online world, it's really fascinating, because the course that I mentioned before that I did, that it's still going on with you, it's about social media and Facebook posting and making money that way. So that's been a really interesting experience. Certainly well worth it for me, and I think all the other guys in the course feel the same way. So how did that come about, and what made you start a project like this?
So, as you know personally, the listeners probably won't know this, I worked for Clients on Demand, one of the really big how to get high ticket coaching clients companies out there in 2018, and just saw how many people were frustrated and fed up trying to make these high ticket funnels work. These, Facebook ad to evergreen webinar to strategy session or phone call.
Yeah.
And I saw that, the overall funnel itself converts about 1 in 500. So for every 500 people come through, one person will book a call, or one person will become a paying client. I forget which one it is. And generally speaking, the coaches and experts that run these funnels are closing about 15 to 20% of the people they get on the phone with, which means that they're getting rejected by about 80 to 85%. They're hearing a no on 80 to 85% of their sales calls, which is just extremely discouraging and makes it hard to get excited about. It's bad. Yeah. So it's just discouraging when you're getting rejected on 4 out of 5 sales calls that you get on. Whereas I have basically had the opposite. I market my businesses organically, mainly through my written content on Facebook. And for my high ticket services, which has been anywhere from 2,000 to about 14,000, I'm closing 60 to 90% of the people that I get on the phone with, and just very low stress, low pressure sales calls. And looking back, I realized that the reason that I had such success selling high ticket over the phone was because I was nurturing my audiences organically. I was giving them, I was building a relationship with them, establishing my authority, allowing them to move at their own speed and just get on the phone with me when they were ready. And I just realized it was such a stark difference compared to the paid traffic model. So I launched that program to basically show people how I do that, how I nurture my audiences and how I generate leads and sell my high ticket programs entirely through Facebook organic. And that got a lot of interest. A lot of people who were interested didn't quite qualify for the program, but it's been really interesting working with you guys and kind of unveiling my system and how I do what I do and whatnot. And I knew it wasn't just me. I've talked to a lot of people who've seen very similar, 60, 70, 80% closing rates on their high ticket sales calls because they're nurturing their audiences organically. And so kind of what I'm doing now, separate from the program that I've been working on with you, is helping experts and coaches use their paid traffic funnels to feed their organic. So we run the kind of similar style high ticket traffic funnel, but then for the 95 or 98% of people who don't convert and book a call right away, we feed them into my clients' Facebook groups or have them follow them on social media, whatever, so that they're able to do that nurturing, because over the long run, that's going to help them recoup 3x, 5x the amount of sales that they're making if all they were doing was paid traffic. So yeah, that was kind of a test just to see if people had interest in that, and there was. So I rolled it out, and hopefully you've been getting some value out of that.
Yeah, I think we all have, and it's been really interesting to get your insights on that. Posting on Facebook and social media is really interesting because there's a lot of talk about whether a link in your post actually curbs the engagement or the reach, or whether you should pitch or just offer value. So there's a lot of different factors at play. So it's been really interesting learning about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's been by far the channel I've had the most success with. It's definitely not for everybody. If you have no writing skills whatsoever, then you should probably do something like video or audio or whatever. But I found I'm actually in the process of rolling out a new program right now, this minute, and I'm starting to get interest from non-copywriters in how they can improve their copywriting and social posting, because there's a lot of business owners out there that understand the value in doing content marketing, have dabbled in written content, maybe they have a blog, maybe they do some social media, and I just saw this gap in the market where almost every copywriting training, like even we were talking about Justin Goff a second ago, him and his partner are in the process of launching a brand new training. Just saw a guy post about that yesterday. I know Sean Bostler is about to come out with something. And it's like every single copywriting training on the market is designed how to show full-time copywriters, like freelance copywriters who get paid to write for clients, how to get better. But there's almost nothing on the market out there that's dedicated to showing just your everyday business owner how they can improve their copy skills, how they can write more effective social media posts, etc. So that's an offer that I'm dabbling in right now. I've only been testing it to see if there's any interest over the past couple of days, but so far so good. So yeah, a lot of exciting stuff with that, that you can do with copywriting, whether you're full-time and a freelancer or just an everyday business owner. There's so many different ways that you can use the written word to generate interest in your services, and even sell them entirely via copywriting. So
it's interesting about the non-copywriter thing, because it's a big market out there of people who haven't. It's going to be a lot more people who have never studied copywriting than have, obviously. This is different though to like a beginner's copywriting course. So it's not like taking someone who's never studied copywriting and they want to become a copywriter. What you're doing is different from like these beginner type of courses.
Yeah, so it's kind of the 80-20 of copywriting. That's probably the easiest way that I can explain it. If you look at a lot of the advanced copywriting trainings, it's about coming up with hooks and coming up with big ideas, and some of the more advanced stuff about rhythmic writing and super deep market research and all this stuff. And as you know, you and I both see a lot of samples from copywriters at various skill levels. Even the majority of full-time copywriters really aren't even very good at this stuff. Most quote unquote copywriters can't come up with hooks. They can't come up with big ideas. They don't spend a lot of time on market research. So I'm going to be kind of peeling that back, just avoiding that super deep, super academic copywriting stuff, and really just focusing on the 80-20 of how can you write engaging copy for social media? How can you write engaging emails without having to go super deep into this hand copying sales letters and reading 100-year-old books and all this stuff? And the reason I even had the idea for this program is because, and I know that you follow some of these guys, but some of the guys and girls who generate the most income from social media and who get the most engagement on their posts are non-copywriters. If you look at guys like Bobby Stocks, Adam Linkenauger, Justin Brooke, there are a lot of people out there who are not full-time copywriters at all, but have figured out how to kind of channel their inner voice and create really high-performing, really engaging social media content. So that's going to be the focus of the program, is just really helping people tap into their inner voice and just kind of let loose. Because I think that's the main obstacle that holds a lot of people back. They just refuse to kind of go on these rants and refuse to really let their opinions be known, let their inner voice out. Whereas if you look at some of these people who just do really well with their social, despite the fact that they're not full-time copywriters, that's really the main difference. They don't hold back. They're willing to really speak their mind about what's going on in their industry and their opinions and da-da-da-da-da. So, it's brand new. I haven't fully put it together, but that's just a pattern that I've noticed. I know there's a lot of people out there who want to be able to express themselves through the written word more effectively.
Yeah, that's really cool, because sometimes you get held back in the dogma, like, you're supposed to write to a certain formula. You're supposed to handwrite all the letters and read all these 200-year-old copywriting books and stuff, and you've got to know who Rosser Reeves was and what books he's written and stuff like that. So, but yeah, you're right. Like, the best kind of content marketers are people who know copywriting. Like, an example was when I had Mindvalley as a client, and I worked a lot with the CEO Vishen Lakhiani. He has his own team of copywriters, but he was he knew copy himself. He knew what it was like, and he would get a lot of engagement on his posts as well, because he kind of knew how to write them. But there's a lot of business owners out there who, that's often what I get when they hire me. It's like, Brian, write this, because we don't know how to write anything, and we're not writers, and we're better at video, and we're better on stage, and so forth. So, it's interesting, because it's a really missed opportunity for a lot of people, which I think they can take advantage of when they do something like that.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. Do you remember the name of the guy who wrote Cashvertising?
It sounds to me, I don't know, I couldn't tell you who actually wrote it.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know that book is not as widely respected in the copywriting circles. Although there's a lot of these kind of non-copywriters who've had a lot of success with content marketing.
Drew Eric Whitman.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so Cashvertising, it's a lot more entry-level kind of copywriting book, just kind of skims over the basics and how to write ads. But he built a very successful business doing live events, teaching business owners the basics of copywriting. So that was his whole he ran live seminars, just 2 or 3 day things over the weekend, and filled these live events with business owners who just wanted to be able to more persuasively for their own businesses. I definitely know there's a market for it out there. And
who else is great? Bill Glazer. I don't think anyone's ever hired Bill Glazer to write a sales letter, but he is a guy who has made a lot of money with the written word. He had his menswear stores, and he had used direct mail in those, and that was a great example. And I've read he had an outrageous marketing book. The title was something like that, and that was a book that at the time when I joined the GKIC Inner Circle, whatever it was, that was the one that they sent out for free, so I read that, and that was awesome. So he is another master of the written word, who certainly he wouldn't probably call himself a copywriter at all.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So speaking of copywriters, in your experience, who is the weirdest or most quirky copywriter or marketer that you know of in the industry?
Weirdest or quirkiest? That's a good question. I would say Sean Vossler might be the quirkiest.
Yeah.
For the listeners who don't know, Sean Vossler is a copywriter and marketing funnel consultant to some very big names in our industry, 8-figure experts, Ty Lopez, Alex Becker, etc. So his background is copywriting. It's the fundamentals or kind of the basis of everything he does for his clients, but he refuses to refer to himself as a copywriter for positioning reasons and just not to get pigeonholed into that career or just kind of that positioning. But what's really interesting about him is that he's actually, or quite possibly, the only writer I know who's extremely good at graphic design. So, they're typically somebody is one or the other or just not artistic at all. I couldn't draw a circle to save my life. Like I'm the worst drawer / artist in the world. And I think most writers fall into that category, but he is very skilled on the graphic design side of things. So if you look at his info products and courses that he puts out, I mean, they're just stunning, just beautiful, the way he combines his content with visuals.
So he does that all himself, because I just bought his book and his latest website. He does all the graphics as well.
Okay,
that's interesting.
Yeah. I was just talking to him out in TNC, and so he's definitely quirky, interesting guy to follow on social media. Very intellectual, but also very good at just writing conversational copy that gets results. So I actually just didn't really even know about him until recently, and we've been talking a little bit, and very, very interesting guy to follow.
Cool, man. Speaking of following, I think that you're a good one to follow for sure. I mean, how can people find out more about you and what you do? Is it just a case of following you on social media or something else?
Yeah, no, I do have a website. I don't use it for anything at all. It's just chrislaub.com, LAUB. But yes, almost everything I do is through all the content that I post is through my Facebook, just personal profile. Can just look me up, Chris, LAUB. And try to post almost every day. And
Yeah, cool, man. I think everyone listening to this podcast should definitely do that, because you're one of the guys who does post good, insightful content and it shows the rest of us how it's done. So I strongly recommend that everyone should kind of add you on Facebook. Do you have a page as well? Because I mean, if you go up to 5,000 friends, it's going to be people can follow you. But do you have a page as well?
Yes, it's linked to from my personal profile. It's also just Chris Laub. Similar to my website, I don't use it for anything. I probably should be. But if you just type my name into Facebook, you'll find those two options for connecting. Yeah,
same as me. My personal profile on Facebook is where all the action is. I've got a page, but I never use it, just like you. And I don't do much on my sites either, although I'm building up at the moment. So everyone who's listening to this, definitely go on Facebook and add Chris Laub or at least follow him. Check out his stuff, because you'll learn a lot, and you just might end up in a really cool course at some point, which you're very glad that you spent the money on. So thanks for coming on, Chris. I really appreciate your insights here. It's been very, very educational, very insightful. So thanks for that. And we'll have to have you back on the show again sometime.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Good talking with you.
All right. Thanks, man. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Geniuses of Copywriting with Brian Casangina. To get the full transcript and all the resources mentioned on today's show, go to www.geniusesofcopywriting.com now.